Not the nicest way to find out your wife is cheating on you with a guy who is both yours and her boss. The whole phrase was the stuff of nightmares, but it was the last word that signaled the end of our marriage. Again. We'd been married less than 2 years, and until today, marriage to Diane had seemed fantastic to me. I was on my way to my boss's office about a problem with an order we were supposed to deliver as late as yesterday so as not to stop production for an order that was supposed to ship next week. On the shop floor, I made all the decisions, but when it came to suppliers, the boss had a loud voice backed by the company checkbook. My wife was one of the secretaries and had recently been given more responsibilities, and apparently the boss was pleased with her work, and she was hoping to be promoted to personal secretary. She seemed to be getting close to him already. I heard him groan. His office door was slightly ajar, so I put my phone on video and crept closer. I was going to smash his nose, but I wanted to file the divorce papers and get something from him first, so I watched and videotaped, bile rising in my stomach, hatred for both of them growing. I was surprised at how well in control of myself I was. Yes, I was mad as hell, but I had already decided this wasn't going to end well for either of them. I didn't care what she had to say for herself. I didn't care if he threatened our job or even blackmailed her into telling me what an unfaithful bitch she was. Who cares, right? Damn it, how could I kiss that bitch knowing where her tongue had been? She was dead to me. I planned to ruin him, and among my first thoughts was sending the videotape to his wife, a beautiful woman whose father was the CEO of the company. Thus, divorce for both of these cheating women was in their future. Or at least that's what I thought. Imagine my shock when, just before I was about to barge in on him, the other door to his office opened and his wife walked in, unbuttoning her blouse as she walked. Damn, this wasn't as simple as I thought it would be. If his wife is involved, it's not going to be easy to ruin the relationship with her father. He's been known to sleep with half the town's population, so he's probably not going to get his panties in a bunch over this. I'll probably get fired. Hell, I was seconds away from smashing my fist into Arnold Oliver's face. I was looking forward to it. I wanted to hurt him. I wanted her to witness it, and then feel devastated that I'd told her not to come home. So now what? I decided to keep my powder dry for now. So after gathering all the evidence, I quietly slipped away to consider what I was going to do, feeling fucking disgusted that I wasn't going to beat the shit out of him right now. Later, I got out of work as soon as I could. Fuck the unfulfilled order. He could have been pissed that I hadn't dealt with him. But first of all, tomorrow would be another day. And second of all, I didn't give a shit what he thought right now. My strength was that I was his key employee. I was in charge of everything on the shop floor. I had worked there for 8 years, knew everything there was to know. And because of the downsizing of other employees who had worked longer, no one could take my place without a lot of time and training. So I felt I had a very strong hand. But now I had no idea how I was going to play it. All that was left was to head to the bar. Some of my best thinking was done with a glass of beer in hand. It's just that after the 6th mug, they became less reliable. I usually drove home with Diane, and my car was parked in the staff parking lot, so I left it and headed to the bar. An hour later, I got a call from Diane. "Are you still here, John?" "It's me, John Hughes, ex-husband of Diane Hughes, the boss's former minx." "No, Diane, I'm at the bar. Go home without me. I'm here for a while, so don't worry about dinner." "John, is something wrong? Why didn't you wait for me? Maybe I should meet you at the bar." "No, Diane, don't come here. I'll see you at home later." "Okay, if you're sure, John, but you're saying something wrong. What is it?" When she finished, I had already hung up, unable to listen to the bitch. I got home very late and very drunk. She fell asleep waiting for me on the couch. I walked past her and went to sleep in the spare bedroom. I wanted her to keep worrying when she saw I wasn't in our bed. I was woken up at 3 in the morning. She wanted to know why I wasn't in our bed and why I didn't wake her up when I came in. What happened, she wanted to know. I hummed and told her to leave me alone and we'd talk in the morning. I woke up with a headache and the smell of coffee, so I decided it was time to get up and get ready for a new day of work. I was too busy reveling in my pain to think much, so I still wasn't ready to talk to her or my boss. She was so sweet and calm, but I could see the worry on her face as she drove us to work. "Talk to me, John, please. What's wrong?" "I have a damn hangover and a damn hard day ahead of me. Just stop talking and drive us to work." "I'm worried about you, John," she said. "This isn't like you at all. You haven't said one kind word to me since yesterday morning." No wonder, I thought to myself, because I didn't know then that you like to eat other people's asses. We drove the rest of the way in silence. Then she went to the office and I headed to the store. She tried to kiss me before we parted, but I turned away, seeing the hurt and disappointment on her face. The morning passed slowly, and at about 10:30 I was called into the office where the boss wanted to talk to me about a problem with a stock order. I got there and he greeted me with his usual, "How is my most important employee this morning?" and smiled broadly. I hummed back and he looked concerned. "Spit it out. What the fuck is wrong with you today, John?" I thought for a few seconds and then decided why not. I wasn't going to take any more of this shit. So I gave him both barrels in my hands. "Why don't you stick your tongue in a piece of shit?" He looked shocked and his face turned red. I continued, "I've got it all on video, you and your pathetic wife, and my slutty soon-to-be ex-wife. So surprise, surprise, I'm leaving the company, and I'll tell you what. Get your lawyers here before lunch and get me the best deal you can think of, or I'm leaving and offering everything I know about this company to your competitors. Basically, you screwed me over, ruined my marriage, and now I'm going to ruin this company." "John, please," he began, clearly realizing the depth of the lake of shit he found himself in. I couldn't help myself. His next surprise was my fist smashing into his face. He was too busy thinking about what to say and only realized what had happened when he landed on his fat ass with blood streaming from his nose. I was glad to see him spit out one of his formerly perfect teeth. "Fuck you. Get the fuck out of my—" "No, wait, John. God damn it, sit down. We need to work this out. I can't let you leave the company." "How are you going to stop me, Arnold? I'm not going to stay here to be cuckolded by an asshole like you. I told you. Get your lawyer to talk to me or I'll go to your competitors today. And while you're at it, get my bitch wife here now," I yelled at him just as his secretary Rosie walked in to see what all the yelling was about. "Gentlemen, you need to calm down. All the employees look down on this office. You need to tone it down if you don't want all the staff to know what's going on. Do you really want everyone to know about your wife, John? Might as well put an ad in the paper and the whole town will know about it." Arnold looked at me and I answered him stiffly. "Rosie, take Diane to her house. Do you mind, John?" "Might as well do it now or any other time," I replied. "Sit down, John. Please listen. I'm sorry. If you were anyone else, you'd be escorted out of here, maybe by the police. But listen, I'm a bastard, though. I'm not stupid. We need you here. We have some things to sort out. You know how important you are to the company, and so do I. My father-in-law would probably let me go. Not you. You know you hold all the cards. Let's work this out. I know it's a mess, and I know it's my fault. Please work with me." I was about to lash out at him with words when Rosie burst into the office and said, "Diana's here." She fainted. She must have fainted from the shock of the discovery. When she came back to us, she looked at me and cried and said how sorry she was and all the usual crap. Just sex, only loves me, didn't mean anything by it. Pick a cliché. At this point, I screamed at her. "That meant something to me, you pathetic wimp. Don't even think about coming home, and before you ask, I have no idea where you're going to sleep, and I don't care. Sleep in the dumpster, I don't care. Wait, maybe that bastard will take you home and you can get on with this horror." She howled and moaned, saying, "Please, please, no, you have to understand." I interrupted her and said, "I understand perfectly well, bitch, understand. I have 10 minutes of videotape of you becoming a harlot. I will divorce you as soon as possible, and if you resist in any way, I will send the video to all your family and friends. When did you start doing this, and why have you never acted like a harlot?" Come to think of it, I don't want to know. I turned away from her as tears were streaming down her face. Boss, get this bitch out of here before I throw up. Diane, go home. Get your shit together and leave. Don't show up at the house when I get back. Goodbye, you dirty bitch. Arnold, please help me. Don't let him do this to me. I'm begging you. I really need you, John. I'm so sorry. Before he could speak, I said, Get your pig out of here, or I'm leaving and going straight to Morrison Engineering. They already approached me 6 months ago. I was stupidly loyal to that company then, and now I don't give a damn. Make up your mind, it's either her or me. Diane, tell Rosie that I've asked her to book you a room at the Holiday Inn for a week at company expense. I'll talk to John, but you need to leave right now. Go home, pack your things, and go to the hotel. I'll talk to you later. My devastated wife walked away, looking back at me, hoping for comfort or hope, but got neither. But before she was out of sight, I said, So, Arnold, you put that bitch up at the Holiday Inn. I assume you and your wife will be joining her later. Diane let out another loud shriek. I figured she must be about to snap, and was surprised to find that I didn't give a damn about the rogue bitch. She wasn't my problem now and wouldn't be legally my problem anytime soon. Okay, boss. What's stopping you from hiring a lawyer? I'm 2 minutes away from getting up and leaving. John, let's have coffee, and let me think this over, and then we'll discuss what can be done, and I'll get him in to draw up an agreement that we can both sign and live with. What are you going to do about Diane? Nothing. That bitch is your problem now. But come to think of it, the company has a no fraternization policy. She's really your problem now. If I cared one bit about her, I'd advise her to come after you and sue your ass. What would your father-in-law think of you and his daughter, huh? We talked for over an hour, and finally he said, John, I don't know what else I can say to get you to resolve this amicably. Why don't you take some time, write down what you want, and we'll meet again and work it out. So I did. An hour later, I was sitting with Arnold, and now the company lawyer Jeffrey Pinkman was with him. Okay, boss, here's what I want. It's non-negotiable, and if you can't fulfill any part of it, I'll just go away and talk to your competitors. They may not need me, but I'm damn sure they know exactly how much you need me here, and they'll probably pay me well to just take a long vacation and move to some faraway state. Neither man said anything, just nodded for me to continue. Here is a list of my demands. 1. You guarantee Diane Hughes a job at her current salary, plus a 15% annual bonus for being the company's promiscuous wench. That title should be spelled out in her terms of employment. Both amounts increase at the rate common to all employees at the annual review. 2. Her job is guaranteed for a minimum of 10 years. If she wishes to resign as company minx, she will be allowed to do so with forfeiture of her annual bonus for being a minx, but retaining her guaranteed tenure. 3rd, Diane Hughes will agree not to file for divorce, or else all protections in her new contract will be invalidated. 4. If you want to define Diane Hughes's duties as company waste in the contract, I have no objection. She is now your problem. 5. The company will pay the costs of John Hughes and Diane Hughes's divorce in recognition that the divorce occurred as a direct result of the managing director's abuse of the company's policy against fraternizing with lower-level employees. Both parties' divorce costs will be paid in full. 6. If Diane Hughes is awarded alimony as a result of the divorce, the company will reimburse me annually for any amount based on the managing director's role in causing the divorce. 7. In addition, to the extent legally possible, the company guarantees that it will make every effort to ensure that Diane Hughes is never on the shop floor when I am at work. 8. My salary will be increased by 50% immediately upon signing this agreement. My contract will have a fixed minimum term of 2 years, renewable by agreement of the parties every 2 years. This guarantees the company to provide my services during this minimum term. 9. I will participate in a performance bonus scheme of 10% of the company's gross profit for as long as I continue to work here. 10. If required, I will sign a legally binding pledge not to contact competing companies unless it is part of my normal duties, and will not share confidential market information. Gentlemen, these terms and conditions, especially the ones that bind me to the company and benefit financially from its operations, assure you that I will do my best on behalf of the company. Everything else is for my benefit. I will not suffer financially because of Arnold's abuse of his power over the profligate company. Would you care to discuss this in my absence? We can reconvene when you are ready. So, I left them and went to sit in silence with my coffee and my gloomy thoughts. I was aware that I was escalating the situation, and I was sure that Arnold realized that his mismanagement had eliminated all possible candidates for my position, since he didn't care at all if I ever left the company. Of course, I had been a company man even before John discovered his wife. There was nothing predictable about John, as Arnold discovered when John revealed his demands, and certainly not when John plopped Arnold on the floor and the MD realized he couldn't respond. How much he had enjoyed playing with John's wife Diane, but even though she was the first woman in his life, it wasn't the most amazing sexual experience he'd had. It was more like a power trip, a control that made him feel good. It wasn't worth the price John had asked him to pay with years of commitment and, surprisingly, in Diana's favor. Think logically, Arnold. He made those demands so he wouldn't have to pay child support to that whore. In fact, I'm surprised the guy at the store had the sense to treat you so rudely. It's all well thought out, and my advice is this. Yes, you can get him to budge a little, 1%, but you run the risk that he will react badly and turn your life into a nightmare. My advice is to sign what he wants and live with the crap you've stirred up. Arnold. If there's an upside to this, it's that he doesn't seem to care about his wife, and at least you can sleep with that babe as long as you want. I wouldn't say no to that yummy crumb myself. Also, you could draw up a slutty woman's job description and get her to sign it. Of course, coercion is unlikely, but is she smart enough to realize that? That was Jeffrey's advice, and Arnold simply agreed with it and called John back into the conference room. John, you win. I'll formalize your terms as a new agreement and terms of employment for you and Diana. I've also decided to draw up a list of maid company duties, if you're serious about it, and we'll get Diana to sign it. That might protect me if she ever pulls her head out of her ass, or rather mine, and decides she's being, shall we say, mismanaged. If we get her to sign what's required of her, she'll think twice before she sues me. Arnold waited for my reaction. I don't care anymore, Arnold. Do what you want with her. She's your victim and your problem. I'm divorcing her and I don't care about her. So, all the papers were drawn up, the contracts were signed, although Diane was adamant that she didn't want a divorce. However, she realized that she couldn't stop John from divorcing her, especially with his threat to tell her family and friends what she had done, so she agreed not to fight for the divorce if John agreed to meet with her for one last private conversation. John knew her thoughts, knew she couldn't change anything, so he agreed to meet, but only after she agreed to a new contract. Before the meeting, he demanded a copy of the new contract she had signed as proof. He was certain that this was their last meeting and intended to ignore her at any future meeting, regardless of the circumstances. A few days later, he received a copy of Diane's new contract, duly signed by her and Arnold as a director, and then witnessed by Jeffrey as the company's lawyer. It read, "The parties to this contract are Mr. Arnold Oliver, Managing Director of XYZ Incorporated for and on behalf of the company, Mrs. Diana Hughes, known in this contract as the promiscuous woman of the company, and it is witnessed by Mr. Jeffrey Pinkman, attorney for XYZ Incorporated. The terms of employment and duties are as follows. 1. Mrs. Hughes will continue to perform her current secretarial duties, but will also formally assume the duties described herein as the promiscuous woman of the company. 2, Mrs. Hughes will receive her current salary plus 15% annual bonus. Both amounts will be increased at a rate common to all employees at annual review. Mundra Mrs. Hughes will be guaranteed employment for a minimum period of 10 years if she wishes to relinquish her position. She will be allowed to do so with forfeiture of her annual bonus, but retaining her guaranteed tenure. 4. The company will pay the divorce costs of John Hughes and Diane Hughes in recognition that the divorce was the result of the managing director's abuse of the company's policy prohibiting marital relations. Both parties' divorce costs will be paid in full. Mrs. Hughes, by accepting this item, waives any future claims against the company or the managing director. Eindam Mrs. Hughes, by signing this agreement, agrees to accept the petition for divorce, which will soon be filed, on the terms offered by Mr. John Hughes, in recognition of the favorable terms of this contract entered into on her behalf and for her benefit by Mr. John Hughes. 6th, Mrs. Hughes understands that the terms of the divorce will be punitive in nature due to her adultery and accepts them as an appropriate punishment, and that she will be compensated, at least in part, by the annual bonus received for her performance as an employee of the company. 7. Mrs. Hughes, a company maid, understands that it is her responsibility to comply with all sexual demands of the managing director, including the requirement to serve others whom he orders her to serve. Yettam Mariade, Hughes, the company's provident maid, acknowledges that she voluntarily engages in sexual activity at the request of the managing director and confirms that she will never seek damages or monetary compensation through the courts from Mr. Oliver or the company as a result of voluntarily performing these duties, either in the past or in the future. 9. Mrs. Hughes confirms that she is a voluntary employee and accepts this position unconditionally. Mr. Pinkman said, "Diane, do you understand what you are signing? Perhaps you have some explaining to do, or would you like to seek independent legal advice? I have to tell you that your husband, John, is adamant. If you don't accept the terms, he will leave you and fight to ensure that you don't get divorce terms as favorable as this agreement, and that you will almost certainly lose your job." "I'm not very smart, Mr. Pinkman. I'm only a secretary, not a lawyer, but I realize that I really have no choice, and that I at least have a secure job. Anyway, I really have always been a bit promiscuous, and I like Arnold. This is the best offer I can hope for, and I'll sign it." Diana's face flushed. Arnold said to her, "Diane, why don't you thank Jeffrey for working out a new contract for you? He would sure like to sleep with you at the negotiating table." Diana was happy to get her first official job as the company's minx. It took her mind off the fact that she was losing her husband. Yes, she was a lustful woman, it was a perfect description, but she loved John. She didn't want the divorce that awaited her, but the choice was not hers. She had even just signed away her right to fight the divorce. A few months passed. Diane was served with a divorce petition, and predictably, John raped her, but she had no choice. She had signed a job contract guaranteeing her future, even if she decided to back out. John and Diane were not yet divorced, but things were progressing, and it took a few more weeks before everything was made official. John's terms were completely one-sided, but since they didn't have much in the way of assets, it was more a matter of principle for him than her loss. It was losing John that hurt her, and everything else was minor material problems. They rented an apartment and shared a car since they worked at the same place. Their savings were small, but he had agreed to split it 50-50 so she could buy a small car with high mileage. She realized it was a small courtesy from John. He could have insisted on keeping all their savings for himself. She had to move out of their apartment since John liked it and wanted to stay. But Arnold had promised to help her find a place to live and even offered to help pay the rent. Now it was time for the agreed-upon face-to-face meeting. They met at the bar of the Holiday Inn. John flatly refused to meet anywhere alone, which she expected but didn't insist. John held all the cards, and she agreed. Placing the drinks in front of them, Diane began. "John, I'm so sorry I betrayed you. I do love you. Is there anything left in your heart for me?" I know you were devastated by what you saw. I know you are angry at me and at Arnold, but I see and hear that you have a working relationship with him. Is there any chance we can eventually get past this?" John looked at her with undisguised contempt and said, "Diane, you've been working as a maid for the company for almost 3 months now. How many times has Arnold slept with you?" Without the slightest hint of embarrassment, she replied, "Almost every day." "And how many other people has he asked to sleep with you?" "Quite a few." "Diane, before all this started, I thought my wife was a pretty smart girl, not the stupid minx you've turned into. Have you gotten tested for STDs in the last 3 months? Does anyone use a condom with you?" John shook his head, wondering how he could think of her the way he used to when he loved her unconditionally. "John, I know I've let you down, but please don't talk to me like I'm garbage. I do love you, my heart is breaking, but you put me on this path that I can't do anything about but live with it." Tears rolled down her face, but she didn't care who would see or what anyone would think. Her heart ached as she realized that John had truly left her behind him. "Get over it. I have to tell you that if you were burning, I wouldn't waste my energy trying to put out the fire. You're dead to me. It happened the day I saw that picture. Listen and accept it. We have no future. My love for you disappeared in seconds. I'm disgusted to look at you. If I see you again, it will be too soon." He walked away, seeing her off with a devastated look, just as he had planned and wanted. John left the Holiday Inn more than satisfied that he had treated her the way he felt she deserved to be treated. He had put the main culprit, Arnold Oliver, on the floor of his own office, and there was nothing he could do about it because he was indispensable in the factory. He even handled the divorce costs, paid his own salary, and made sure the promiscuous woman from the company didn't sue him for alimony. John was feeling pretty good. Revenge was a good thing. Then 2 days later, Arnold called him into his office. "Sit down, John. I have something to tell you. Diane was found in her apartment yesterday morning. She overdosed on John, leaving a short note saying that her life was over, that she loved only John Hughes and saw no future without him." Suddenly, John felt like throwing up, and now he no longer felt so satisfied with his revenge.